Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's Race Chat. Clinton Geoffrey, along with Adam Ross, and I have to laugh, buddy, because I was thinking about how it's chaos for one of us every week. It's either me or you, right up till the last minute. This week it was you. So, what's the drama at
Every
home this
damn
week?
I left my charger cord at work from my laptop, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, I was off for a month. I'm back in the grind. Today was a good productive day at work. I opened my bag to get my laptop out, and I got nothing. So I've got a backup that's almost set up. I just got to make a couple things happen with it. So if I duck out, Clinton, it's all part of the production. I'm intended to miss one of the segments tonight. It has nothing to do with my failure as an adult to be equipped to do my job.
I think you do it just to make my blood boil, and I'm like, well, I said it tonight. If any night you're going to dip out on me, tonight's the night, because we do have a full slate of guests. A lot of them sprint car related, to talk about the new sprint car announcement that came out earlier today and in Francais yesterday. And we can talk about the comedy of errors that happened there a little bit too, which I know you as a press guy would take some laughing, and you laughed pretty good at us today. And it was good, but, taking a page out of your get back to that, but let's not reveal too much. Hold on to that thought, because I do want to relay it when we get on the whole story. So tonight we're expecting Jordan Poirier, Travis Cunningham, two sprint car drivers who are expected to take part in the new Knights of Thunder series, and we're going to talk at length a little bit about where sprint cars are going to go in Ontario next year, the intention of the series, where the SOS stands, and all this. I know there was a lot of questions on social media today, and we hope to answer all those questions today and reveal some really great stuff. So to all the sprint car teams that are tuning in right now, we do have a big announcement coming up in about 10 to 15 minutes where we're going to announce our new sponsors and the plan for the upcoming season in a bit, and it's going to be very exciting, Adam.
I don't mean to be a buzzkill, but should we have maybe changed the rundown board?
Yeah. Probably, eh? That's all right. If
you didn't
point it out, nobody would have ever even noticed. So, okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, since Ad just kicked it in the ass. Pinty's is going to be our new sponsor for both those, and we're going to talk about what that involvement means and on many facets.
So, and it's much bigger than that, right? Like to say Pinty's is our new sponsor. Pinty's is taking a very big step. They're balls deep in motorsports in our neck of the woods. So it's real good for a lot of racers. And man, oh man, I love Pinty's meat.
We're very fortunate to have that relationship, and we'll get to that shortly. Spencer's going to let me know as soon as we have Doug ready to go. And let's just talk about Oshweekend for a minute. We'll bring Doug on. Doug, as many of you know, is our right-hand man. Oshweekend is our race director and a guy our whole team relies on a lot, kind of the hub of the craziness. And the one guy that Adam doesn't really mess with on Friday nights, and I like that. But Doug, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good. Before we jump to Oshweekend, when we start talking about the show and the reveal and everything we're going to talk about today on our Action Sprint Tour message board, you had mentioned, you commented on what Matt Hill sent. Matt Hill said a thing about Reese trailer hitches. Spencer, throw the picture up if you've got it. And Doug, you are with Miska Trailer, and you jumped in and said, yeah, we had to send out a recall. So what do you know about this situation? That was the picture that was shared to us by Matt Hill, and this is kind of public service announcement for any racers. You got to be careful. And if I understand with that picture up, Spencer, if I understand correctly, somewhere where the ball is recessed into the, I guess you call it the receiver, or that wouldn't be the receiver, right? You talk, Doug. What's up?
Yeah, so it's not actually just Reese; it's actually Draw Tight as well. There's 5 that have been recalled. The Draw Tight pintle hook with the 2-inch ball, and the Draw Tight pintle hook with the 2 5/16, and then the Reese toe power 1 7/8 2-inch and the 2 5/16 have all been recalled. There's part numbers and all that stuff, but it actually came from the Canadian government on it. Looking and researching here, I'm doing this on my phone as we're talking here. It looks like it's just over 600 products that have been recalled from a date in November in 2019 to 2020. Thankfully, there's only been one incident in Canada that this is affected. So there haven't been major things, but right now it's only one, but this recall has come out. You can get in touch with Horizon Global Corporation in Michigan, or you can even contact us and we'll set it up, but they are replacing them at no charge.
Doug, just hold your thought for a second. Run that clip, Spencer. We took a bit of the video you emailed me before the show, and Spencer, rolling that here just quickly for a minute. I think it's about 30 seconds long or so.
Today we will walk you through the steps to determine whether your purchased ball and pintle hook combination is affected by the condition that is being addressed in this safety recall and should be returned. The ball and pintle hook combinations that are potentially affected by this recall are listed in the recall notice. These were sold in the following brands: Draw Tight, Reese Toe Power, Toe Ready, and U-Haul.
Okay, Spencer, you
As
can take that
stated
down
in
now.
our owner notification letter.
We don't have to watch the whole video, but do you have the screenshot, Spencer, of what I sent as well? If we have that, we'll show people what the video is, and if you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll able to get it. We'll able to get it rolling. We've lost Adam here temporarily, Spencer, as well. He said he'll be right back while he fixes up his computer situation over there. So it'll be Doug and I for a moment. So, Doug, thanks for that information. We will follow that story. If anybody needs to get in touch with you, they can call Miska Trailer. We'll help them get it sorted out, and we'll get to the bottom of that right away. Let's switch gears and talk about Ush Weekend for a bit, Doug. We had a staff meeting, Zoom meeting about a month ago where we talked about the plan. We are ready with a full schedule, ready to announce it. But the situation in Six Nations right now is kind of really going the wrong way. As of Friday, they've asked all businesses to hold their business hours from noon to 6 to reduce business hours, to reduce the basically human contact to try and prevent the spread in Six Nations. So that's kind of held things back a bit. So for us to just go out and throw a whole schedule at them, everybody's going to panic. So I think where we are now is I was supposed to have a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It's now been moved to Thursday at 3 o'clock with the emergency control group in Six Nations to discuss what Ush Weekend's back to racing plan will be for 2021. So the short answer is yes, we are planning a full schedule. The long answer is we're not sure exactly how many of those events we're going to be able to pull off in their entirety at this point in time. But I think the message we're going to ask for, and at least portray to the emergency control group is, look, we understand the situation. We want to be good community partners, but we do have to put out a schedule so our business relationships will continue to prosper. And the folks we're nurturing here are going to understand that we are making a full push to get this back going because, we want to race. Glenn wants to race. The family wants to race. We all want to be back out there. And the other thing we've heard on the positive side when I did talk to the emergency control group is that they're looking for recreation. They realize the community needs things to do to get out and about. And, with all the other tracks being able to get open in some capacity, we're very hopeful that once things settle down out there, and, vaccinations continue to go up and the virus will continue to drop out there. So we're hopeful for that. So the latest news is meeting at 3 o'clock. on Thursday, and we'll give you everybody an update on that right after. So as soon as we have that talk with them, we expect to be able to roll it all our schedule Friday or Monday, and everybody get a look at what we're going to do. And then the plan from there would be at the start of each month, Doug, we're going to let them know when we figure we can go. So, April 1st, we'll try and give an update for where we stand in May, and then May 1st, we'll try and give an update, and it may still be waiting. We could be halfway through the season. We could be racing with fans. We could be racing with no fans. All options are on the table, though, Doug. So, it's been a crazy year, and you took a part in a lot of this at Flamborough last year. Could you have ever imagined we'd be where we are?
No, not one bit. I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, being behind the scenes, talking to owners, talking to management, talking to promoters. They're certainly frustrated, and they just don't know where to go. I mean, we haven't got a word from the government as to what to do. What you just announced, I think, is a great idea. I mean, we certainly want to be friends with your neighbors and your community and all that stuff. So launching a schedule without having approval is probably going to go against things. I mean, on the Flamborough side, we've come out with two schedules. Basically, we had plan A and plan B. Plan A is, hey, we want to go full-fledged if the government will allow us to have some kind of fans. That's certainly what the Caselli family wants to do. But if we can't, we can go to plan B, and here's what our plan B is going to be. You mean talking to people depends on who you listen to. And that some people are saying it might be June, might be July, it might be till after everyone has had the vaccine. So, I mean, who knows? It's frustrating. We all want to get back to it. It's not just the racing and that as much as it is the family atmosphere and all that stuff. My daughter's itching to go. So, I mean, I feel for everyone.
Jump in here, Adam. Are you back with us?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
So yeah, the new laptop did not like, and I'm looking at the old camera. The new laptop didn't like the camera, but it seems to have liked the microphone. So I'm glad to be back. Doug, good to see you, man.
Nice seeing you too, Adam. How's the new job, bud?
It's busy. It's pretty hectic. I was pretty overwhelmed last week. We're old dogs. Learning new tricks is not. It's not very comfortable, right? It's like, because I was sort of like you, where with selling trailers, you get to a point where selling Hino trucks is what I knew. And I've sold hundreds of Hino trucks. Every one of them came with at least 6 tires on it. And I didn't know jack all about the tires on it. So now I'm having to learn all about it. So as far as a question, I don't know, man. It's just, when are things going to be normal? You're in control. You're the race director. Make things happen.
I've mailed out many one-way radios to the government, and they're just not listening. I mean, I guess it's some like some racers. So,
and that's the frustrating thing, Clinton. Is we've both been embroiled in this. We've all rather been embroiled in this all winter long. We're out of questions. You know what I mean?
I would say it's been the sloppiest season ever because, just things are going one week it's this way, next week it's the other way. It's just been total chaos. Doug, you mentioned Flamborough's double schedule. Have you given any announcement on when you guys would make that determination?
Oh, I think it'll go probably right up till the week before opening night or whatnot, right? I mean, again, we got to wait for the government to come out with something. So hopefully with Mark Rinaldi, spearheading the tracks behind the scenes and all that stuff, we can get something soon. But it's a wait and see. I know John will be probably the nice weather. I didn't go by the track today, but with the nice weather, guaranteed that man was probably there working his tail off, getting things ready and all that stuff. And he'll be ready to go for opening night if it does come about.
For those who don't know. Sorry, Clint. For those who don't know John Caselli, as soon as the race season ends, he goes into kind of like an emotional hibernation. He gets upset and withdrawn. He misses seeing the people, and it goes all winter long. When the weather breaks, like it's doing right now, there's going to be about 3 days where John is happy, just happy. And then it's nothing but stress because he's got too much work to do and not enough time to get ready. John Caselli is one of the most fascinating people in our business. And I'm happy for him. Like, we hit double digits today, so I know he's going to be happy for a couple of days. before he really gets into worrying about what he needs to do at the track. But there's so many people like that in the industry, Clinton, and you're one of them, actually, that rely on the sport. They rely on what we do once every week. Almost everyone else in our world, Doug included, myself included, we have day jobs that we go to, and they have nothing to do with racing, and we support our families that way. And the racetrack is our release. But people like John Caselli, Frank Caselli, Clinton, Geoffrey, now, granted, you're all quite busy when there's not races going on, but that's it. Like, that there's so much focus put on that, and the unknowns make it very, very frustrating. So if it's a little frustrating for us, it's got to be making them crazy.
Oh yeah, you mean you're bang on with John that assessment. You call him in the middle of February, and how are things? Oh boy, it's so cold out, and it gets dark, and all that stuff. But like I said, you drive by there in the middle of April, and that man's there at 7:00 in the morning, and guaranteed he's still there at 9:00 at night. I mean, and he just working for him, you realize how much he just loves the people. He likes putting on shows and having great events. But it's the social aspect that he likes to boot up and down the pits on that little golf cart and just talk to everyone.
Doug, we have a question from Mark De Silva. He says, Doug, with Thrill Show Productions packing it in, is your company looking to fill those events at the local derbies? For some of those who don't know, you took over a demo derby business and do very well with it in the falls. Obviously not last year. That put a crimp in your deal. So, where do you stand with that? With one of the other big, demo promoters packing it in?
Yeah, I mean, I own Smash Motorsports. It's a business that started back 28 years ago. We started doing the Caledonia Demo Derby, branched off and did some other derbies over the time, but just have consistently been with Caledonia. It's a conversation I've kind of had with my team and my crew, but nothing I've really pushed too seriously. I mean, I'll leave it up to them. I mean, I guess I need to spearhead it. But I'm happy just doing Caledonia, and I'm just so busy on the racing aspect of it, especially during the fall time with my association with the Super Dirt Car Series and Super Dirt Week happening there. There's some big fall shows, even here in this local area. I mean, with the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, we have Frosttoberfest, and that my weekends are jammed. So, I mean, I'm not sure where I could fit in time on it. It's certainly something that I need to start going on here pretty soon, that if we want to. So it's a conversation I need to have with the team, and that I know some of them are interested. Like Adam said, other guys just they got other jobs too and just don't have the free weekends.
Doug, I know there's been lots of talk about where you're going to be this year. Are you ready to reveal your final plans for the year, or are you still trying to figure all that out? And I don't want to put you on the spot. And if I'm talking too soon, you don't have to say nothing, but I just didn't know if you wanted to throw out where you're going to be this year. Because Adam and I can honestly say you were in high demand. Your name came across our desk probably 4 different times for 4 different jobs in addition to Ush Weekend in Flamborough. So just wasn't sure if you'd made any plans yet or not.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Ush Weekend, definitely Flamborough are back. I mean, I think there's an announcement coming out soon, and I'm okay to say it because it's come out. But I'll be race directing at Humberstone Speedway on Sundays as well. So that's busy, and then obviously stayed in contact with Dean Reynolds, and as soon as the border opens, I can go do some Super Dirt Car Series stuff too as well. So if we stay with the B schedule at Flamborough, then certainly I can help out with the Knights of Thunder and the Action Sprint Tour on the Saturday night portion of the shows too as well for most of them.
How hard is it to not be a part of the Super Dirt Car Series right now, Doug?
Oh, it's frustrating. I mean, Bristol is obviously the next one on the list, and certainly a place that I'd love to go to. I mean, we have group chats weekly, and Dean has been down with the World Outlaw sprint cars and the late models taking pictures, and the place just looks massive. It's a place I've never been to. Certainly everyone seems to have bucket lists of tracks, and that's one I'd love to strike off my list. But I mean, the government came out with the self-quarantining if you go for non-essential travel and staying in a hotel for 3 days. It's just, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. So, I mean, it's certainly frustrating. And then it's also frustrating to see how far into the season we can get, right? Is will we have those big events? And you got to take the vacation time off so you can go attend them. But am I going to be utilizing it? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Doug, we wish you the best. We got so much to talk about. You'll be back on this show quite a bit. And I got to throw a barb at you because we're all brothers here. Adam, he looks like Twitchit. He's got the height of Twitchit right now. And the same haircut.
The height's there. Doug has more hair, though.
I'm leaning back. Well, I don't know about that. It's getting less, but I've lost some weight too. So, I mean, I might be down to his weight soon. So
nice. Now, is that one adapter or is that Floby all the way around?
It's marker and just colored it in.
Looking great.
Thanks, buddy.
Right on.
Thanks
Doug.
for stopping by.
No problem.
If you're late joining us, just a recap on Osh Weekend. I just want to go over a couple things, Adam, that came down message to me. People wanted me to touch quickly on the big block race, the Pinty's race, the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, and where we stand with those things with regards to Osh Weekend. If you're just joining us, we have a meeting with the Emergency Control Group in Osh Weekend on Thursday at 3 p.m. to discuss releasing our schedule. As for those events, Adam, they are touch and go. We still have to wait and see. We will announce those. We are not selling any more tickets or memberships until we actually get racing, but we'll keep you posted on those. We are putting them on the schedule with full hopes of getting them in. So that'll wrap up our Weekend portion. That brings us to the next portion of our show where we have a couple of guests waiting in the wings already. We're ready to announce the Pinty's Knights of Thunder. Roll the promo video, Spencer.
For the glory, horsepower, and steel unite. These are the Knights of Thunder. This season, the Knights of Thunder 360 Sprint Car Series will conquer dirt tracks across the land. On every battlefield, there is a winner. To the bravest and the fastest go all the spoils. See the heroics, feel the power, hear the thunder. The Knights of Thunder 360 Sprint Car Series. Let the battle begin.
Pretty excited to get it going, Adam. Knights of Thunder, new series out there. There's a million questions. Where should we start?
You know what? I think we should just start with our guests, Clinton, because they're the ones that have had all the questions. And this project has been so long in the making that you and I got tired of talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like a long time ago.
Definitely. So, we should maybe bring Jordan on, talk about it, and then get back to where it all started from, maybe because he's been on for a couple minutes. Let's bring Jordan Poirier on from Quebec. Jordan came down to Ontario quite a bit last year, was fairly successful, picked up a handful of wins and a second or two along the way. Probably won the most money in 360s here. With the border shut down and not being able to get across and race with the Empire Super Sprints, Jordan, how was the drive to Ontario? It had to be a bit better going back with the money every week.
Yeah, it was good. I'd say if there wasn't any race in Southern Ontario, we wouldn't have run much racing at all in Quebec. I ran like 3 or 4 lightning spin race, so it was way better to stay at home and do nothing. So we were pretty excited last year to have those shows.
Jordan, Quebec tracks are big and fast. Do these tracks suit your style? Like Merrittville, Brighton, Humberstone, they're not really tracks where you get wound out. Do you enjoy the tighter racetracks?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed Merrittville. I've always been good at Merrittville for some reason that I don't know. The first podium that I had in 360 was at Merrittville, and we maybe almost win that race, but we broke a track mount with like 5 laps to go. But yeah, last year, every race we were coming down, I feel like our car was really good. We did some upgrade on our engine last year, so we were pretty confident about it too. So yeah, I feel like those track was really suiting my style, and I feel like Humberstone We were way off on the first time we were there in hot lap. But the draw put us in good spot, and the track was pretty tacky, so it came to us. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
Jordan, with this new series coming out, we're going to be paying a $5,000 point fund, 1,000 for 10th place. Pinty's is backing it and putting all these races on live stream, so your friends and family can watch back home. You've expressed interest in joining the tour. Do you expect to make most of the races, and how often can they see you out with the new Knights of Thunder tour?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll try to do all of them. I'm working on partners to buy a second engine. Since we ran like only 6 shows last year, we put maybe 200 laps on our engine, and we won't be able to do the full season with that engine. We're building a second car to help us help our program. So yeah, I want to try to do the championship. It's pretty awesome that Pinty's is putting all that money behind, and the trip to Bristol is also pretty exciting. If we want to bring the team there, it's maybe something that it helps people to come with me to travel to Southern Ontario next year.
Jordan, that's one thing that I think has always been challenging for motorsports in this area, is honoring champions in a grand way. I can't think of a much bigger, like, it's nice to get a check. We all like putting checks in the bank, and with the success you've had, your checks are a little bigger than most. But talk about how cool it is to actually race for something other than money, for you to say, yeah, I'd like to win that just so I can go to Bristol.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's even better for the team. I feel like it's something that we can give to them, to the people that help us race. We wouldn't race if it was only me traveling 8-7 hours. There's people behind us helping us to work. So I feel like it's pretty awesome to bring those people. Maybe if we can win that prize. But yeah, it's really fun that Pinty's putting that on. Also, Bristol is always, it's something big and new. So we always say we want to go to Chili Bowl. We want to go to travel there. But if we want the prize, like, we got no choice after that.
Jordan, so I've just had my meeting with Pinty's folks yesterday. Tony and Jen have been great to deal with, and we're going to have Jen on the show next week, or Tony, whichever one will join us, to talk about their involvement in motorsports. As Adam mentioned earlier, they're into everything. But what they said in passing, as I was leaving the meeting, he said, well, I guess we know we have our grand marshals for next year. So that means possibly waving the green flag for the Pinty's truck racers, saying, gentlemen, start your engines. What's your choice if you win it and get to go down there and do that?
I want to do the flag. I've always loved to flag when I was younger around track in Quebec. So I think it would be my choice.
That's awesome. Clint, that was a good question.
And Tony dropped it in passing. So now that we said it here, we're just going to have to make him hold it to it. But, that's super cool that we can have a great association with them. And it's great to hear that you're interested in something like that, Jordan. Let's talk about our pipeline to the Quebec drivers. First off, let's talk about Steve, his situation. We're not really expecting to see him too much. I know Kevin Lovey's down in our neck of the woods is trying to, get a car here for him and do everything he can to slide him back into that seat. Other than your Uncle Steve, who else do you think we may see from your province who are going to race here? And, before we get into talk about why we're here, if the border's still locked down, we have a good contingent of Quebec 360 drivers who are unable to race with anybody, the ESS and the Patriot. And that was part of the reason why we put this together. And we'll get into that after we let you go. But, and we talk where the SOS is going to end up after this. But, who else can you tell us, do you think we might see down here?
I feel like everybody might come this year. There's a plan. There's a schedule in front of us. So everybody can prepare. There's also a lot of big weekend to race, so it's worth way more to be around you guys for 2 or 3 race. It makes the trip worthy. I feel like maybe Gosselin is built. think I heard he's building a second car, so I feel like he's probably going to be there. Geoffrey Ware is actually trying to find a way to update his engine since the schedule came out. Probably Alain Bergeron if the race in Cornwall and Brookville came in place. For Steve, I really don't know. The company is still rising, and he's building a new house for himself. So he's going to be pretty busy. But I feel like Kevin can be pretty challenging with Steve.
No, I think it's going to be awesome to have you guys come down. We're very excited, and we're trying to make a schedule that'll work and give you guys an opportunity to really to battle it out. So we're super pumped to see the guys from Quebec are interested. Adam, anything else we want to ask Jordan before we let him get on with his night?
Jordan, how comfortable were you speaking English before you started doing really well with racing? Like, is English a natural second language to you?
No, and I've learned English with Kevin, so maybe some words slipping away in some interview at the beginning of last year were the problem. But I really learned my English at school and with Kevin and around racing. It's the only way I'm talking English. But now my girlfriend's coming from Ontario, so I gotta practice a little bit with her family. So I'm starting to get better. I'm not really good, but I'm trying to figure it out.
No, the reason I asked you is it's quite good because we have had race winners get out of their car and just wave to the crowd, because if you were going to ask them a question in English, they had no response. So no, I'm quite impressed. I know it takes a lot of effort to learn that.
Yeah, but it was maybe more naturally for us with Kevin working around us all since I'm 8 years old. He's around us every day, and I was around the shop when I was younger. So it was naturally. And racing in the US, you gotta figure it out, and even more now than them traveling more lonely without my parents, without Steve. I need to learn if something bad happened to get help or something like that.
No, you're doing great, Jordan. Going to keep the Poirier name strong, and especially picking up those wins. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll be talking to you in the future, we're sure.
Thanks guys,
Jordan.
and thanks for putting this series on.
One last question, Jordan. How was the response for G-Force last year? I know we streamed some of the races. Were there a lot of folks watching at home?
Yeah, for sure. I got really good feedback from the G-Force TV. I feel like my mom is actually, she always traveled with us when I was running the Lightning Sprint, and she's always anxious about myself getting hurt or something like that. So she could at least watch it on TV, or get anxious in front of a TV. And it's more for us too. The people don't travel too much. We have a really small team, so everybody around us or sponsor can find a way to get our money worth it to sponsor a car like us.
Yeah,
that's why we do it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jordan.
Thank you.
So let's talk quickly about this before we jump in. So the Action Sprint Tour, Adam, let's just touch on that quickly. We'll have a full deal about that next week. We'll get a couple of those drivers on. Pinty's has joined up with us in a major way, and we're going to talk with some of the other people getting behind this too, because it's not just Pinty's. It took a whole team effort. But Pinty's is going to cover the point fund and the production costs to bring 10 of these races live to G-Force, which is awesome to be able to put them out. And those races are combined races, meaning you see both divisions, the Action Sprinter fueled by Pinty's and the Pinty's Knights of Thunder 362 on the same card on the same night, live for free worldwide. It's going to be awesome. So we're super pumped about that, to bring that in. And we worked on that for a while. And then there's a whole other aspect to it, Adam. You know, all the trouble we had. And you know, you even said to me, why are we doing this? Why are you doing this? Because there were relationships that were hurt. I mentioned last week that we ruffled some feathers. And, there's been a lot of questions today about why and what happens to the SOS here. So let's just start with that. Last year, the SOS didn't do anything. And I have no beef with the SOS. To say we have had heated exchanges, that's no lie. We're all friends here. We'll talk about it straight. But I think the SOS wasn't going to do anything last year because of COVID, which makes sense. They sat it out at the beginning of the year. We didn't really have a plan. There were a bunch of races went off in Merrittville and Humberstone last year in Niagara because Oshweekend didn't open. Then we started looking at the opportunity of some of the sponsors that came on board to put those races on last year. And we figured we could put together a bit of a deal to really ensure that no matter what happened at Oshweekend or anywhere else, that the sprint car guys would get some races. Because once you get outside of Oshweekend, it doesn't make monetary sense for a Merrittville to have a race. If you take $250 per team and take 24 teams, that's only $6,000. Racers are not happy about spending that. You're still $5,000 short on the payout. So like some of the other divisions out, they fall through the cracks, right?
Yeah. So to maybe explain it to people who don't keep up with the prize money, it was very hard to put on a modified race or a sprint car race or a late model race. Those are events that cost upwards of $9,000, $10,000, $11,000 and more. And that's not for a special, that's like a regular night purse. So to make dollars and cents work, you had to kind of focus, or you had to have a big involvement from street stocks, mini stocks, pure stocks, things like that. There's no doubt about it. There is no hiding from the fact that 2020 was a pay-to-play season. And it's not, this industry is not going to shift to that. Like some people have concerns over that. It's not going to happen. But it needed to happen for 2020, and it may need to happen for 2021. And racers are going to get their fix, and people who rely on the racing industry to make their living, they're going to be able to keep making a living. People like McCall Racing Enterprises. Bicknell had a great year because they ship a lot of stuff down to the States, but you had to keep those wheels turning. But behind the scenes, Clinton, it was very stressful because a lot of money had to be raised. When you promote a racetrack, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, it's very simple, dollars in, dollars out. The more entertaining you make a show, the more fans you will hopefully draw, right? It's all if you've ever watched The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman, it's like that. You have to create that sizzle. You've got to keep people going, and you understand the formula of putting dollars in the bank when you open your racetrack to fans and racers, and you open your concessions. Everything plays a part in what you put in. And believe it or not, Clinton, it's very hard to get to the end of a season and have profit to justify the business that you did all year long. And I think that's lost on some people. I don't even have, like, the books aren't open to me, but I know enough about the industry that that's how it works. So what happened last year absolutely crushed the racing industry, because all the principles that it's built on got thrown out the window, and promoters had to figure it out. And we talked about this for a long time, but the guy who brought racing to life last year is no longer in the race promoting business.
You are so right on a lot of things. And, when I was thinking about it just now, we basically put our stars in trouble because all our top divisions couldn't afford to be out there to the track without a major push. So that's kind of where this whole sprint car deal came from. The SOS wasn't going to do anything last year. When I first spoke to them this year, they said they didn't have any plans to have any races because they didn't know where things stood. And by that point, we already had a lot of dates in place with the other tracks, and it came down to Brighton and the SOS versus the Knights of Thunder. And we love the Rinaldi's. We have great relationships with Mark and Ange, and we basically come to an agreement that the SOS can race with us this year at the Brighton races with their tire, with their rule package straight up. And we offered them co-sanctioning in the beginning, but we couldn't bridge that gap. And sometimes that happens. Our intent is not to kill the SOS. Our intent was to ensure that the 360s had a solid package and if the borders are locked down and the ESS and Patriots can't get across, all these fantastic teams from Quebec and Jordan and all those 5 or 6 teams he mentioned also that would be racing weekly and traveling 6-8 hours to go to New York, they would come down and race if we gave them a solid point fund a carrot to go after. And even if that carrot is not money, Adam, it may be him getting the chance to wave the flags at the Bristol Pinty's dirt race, which is amazing to hear him say that. So, I think the plan was just, I looked at what we do at Oshweek and the management team there, Glenn Stiers, myself, and all the guys that work with us, you, Greg, Doug, everybody who pulls for that deal. I looked at us as the shepherds of sprint cars, and we had to do something to ensure that all these teams that bought in and made Oshweek such a popular place and the fastest growing place, that they weren't just felt like they were left out to dry because Six Nations is in a different situation than everywhere else is. So what we can say is we have built a concrete plan now with a solid point fund and streaming that doesn't get any more solid than this for both crates and 360s here in, so, and the other thing is we have a lot of teams in Brockville that are looking at this division to jump in at Brockville and from the east. And I felt if we gave them a very robust, schedule and, a purpose and a carrot, it would make a lot of sense for those guys on the thing to say, yes, I'm going to make the investment this year because it's worth it to go. So yes, the tour got expanded from 10 to 20 races with the Action Sprint Tour. It may be survival of the fittest. We're going to work out a few things, a few finite rules, like we'll allow a drop or a mulligan somewhere along the way. So if you miss one, you're not totally out for the year. We have a lot of little details to get down, but we're super excited. The other thing we worked very hard to, and we talked a lot about schedules. I worked very hard with Brockville and all the other tracks to ensure that there's no conflicts in any of these races. So all these sprint car races, we tried very hard to work together. On the crate side, if you're a Brockville racer, you can race Oshweek on the Friday, Brockville the Saturday, and then a tour race on Sunday or the Monday whenever they show up. When we are at Maryville on a Saturday, Brockville has given those crates the night off. So you're never going to have to pick and choose where you want to race, which is it's a huge part of the plan. When you look at the 360 side, we also reached out to Patriots and ESS and put their dates on the schedule as non-points events. We're not going to force the Knights of Thunder guys to go. But if they want to go, we're going to work with the ESS to help support those races. And this is a build everything. So just to finish this thought, Adam, where do we go in 2022? We're going to see where we go. But there is room for the Knights of Thunder and the Southern Ontario Sprints. I don't see the Knights of Thunder possibly being a 20-race series going into 2022. But we're at the point where we're booking 27. Let's hope to get 18 in and get through COVID. Everybody working together was the mission. So that's the statement I wanted to really get clear on where we stood with the SOS. And we're not trying to tear it down. We're trying to give us a solid foundation to ensure sprint cars in both divisions will be strong for the future. And last thing here, we needed to give a reason for the crate guys to move to 360. If we put all our effort into only crates, we're going to have a super sportsman division, and that's not the idea.
No, you want the ladder all the way to the top, Clinton. And for our small part in this industry, my hope is that when the world gets back to normal, we've been a small part of helping the racing industry be in a position to capitalize, because these streams, the money is still there. The promotion is still there. And when the fans can come into the grandstands, it's just going to be that much better for the promoters, for the teams. In the meantime, we've been like I said, a small part of building something that makes sense right now. And it's going to make even better sense when the world gets back to normal.
Okay, let's talk about a couple things. Travis Cunningham was trying to log in. If we have him, bring him up. I wanted to mention here, Adam, so there's been a whole bunch of sponsors. We wrap up this sprint car thing from my side of things. Epic Racewear reached out. They're going to jump on board today. Creative Edge jumped out. They're going to jump on board today. My phone rang off the hook with companies that want to get involved from both sides, and that is amazing. But we wouldn't be here without the major support of some of what I'm calling the big 4 or 5 at Oshweek. Jay Hill and Burger Barn and his Petro Plus guys have agreed to get behind this. Dan Nanacoke and his Nitro 54 team are big supporters in ensuring that the payouts will be together to help the promoters out to make sure these $2,000 to win $250 shows will be out. Shweekin Speed Racehorse, Glenn Stiers, GSR, they're going to be a big part of it. John Brush from Corpac is another guy who jumped in and really helped us out. Then we have guys like Nathan Ackman jumping in. Oakwood Transport, the list goes on and on of everybody. It's only going to get bigger. Pinty's is the foundation we're going to build off of, and it's just going to get better. So I cannot thank Dan, Jay, Glenn, John, and all those guys who have really got behind the races last year, who went to them again this year and said, hey, can you up it a little bit over what you gave last year? Instead of doing 4 races, we can do 15 and do a whole series. It's going to be amazing. So we'll let it go. Bring Travis Cunningham on. Let's get his thoughts, Adam, from what we would call Travis, a smaller team. You're certainly not on $1 million row with the Burger Barn or the GSR guys. You're running out of your shop. What does a series like this mean for you?
For me, it means everything, Clint. I've always wondered, Humberstone always sat there. We never got to race there that much. This year, we get to race there 5 times. Merrittville 4 times, Brighton 6 times. Those are all tracks I love. And to be able to run at all those tracks and run for a $5,000 to win, or even $1,000 for 10th, and you didn't say what 5th is going to pay, but those are the numbers I'm more looking at. A team like me, if you can strive for something like that with big money in the top 5 or even the top 10,000 bucks, that's pretty good. That's like rings and bearings for me for my rebuild for the year after. So for me, that kind of money would give me a pretty good incentive to run all the races with that kind of payout for points. And like you say, I don't think it's going to mess with the SOS at all. That was only an 8 to 9 race schedule as it was anyways. And the SOS guys are tight with Brighton, and they're not going to mess, they're going to give them a few races. And I know they can fit both in. And to me, that's just more races for a team like me to be able to go out and compete to make a little money. Cause sprint cars, to me, I say, it's one of the only divisions where a small team like me has a chance to break even at the end of the year and maybe have a 0 instead of a negative. So for me, all that big time extra money added, Pinty's and all the sponsors you guys have brought in is just so big for our division that I honestly can't even describe how pumped I was today when I saw that.
Now, Travis, our mindset is generally Ushweekend first. That's where it started for us. That's our big push on a Friday night. But again, the fans might not realize. Tell them why this schedule is more conducive to you being able to compete for a top 5 in points, rather than a full season of Ushweekend Friday nights.
I think where you're heading with that is because a lot of the tracks are a little smaller. So the big $60,000 engines that everyone say you need, in my opinion, you don't need them. I won a couple races at Ushweekend with our home built engine. My dad taught me how to build horsepower on a budget almost, and just buy the stuff you need. Do you really need the $10,000 super sexy crankshaft? Yeah, they're super sexy, but they sell a $600 one that's just as good and almost just as light, and it'll get you to the end of the road the same way. So yeah, for me, there was always a little way to get done, and I think you can keep going, and you can totally go up against those $60,000 teams, especially easier on a smaller tracks like the ones that get slick, like Merrittville and Humberstone and Brockville, Cornwall, stuff like that. But even in my opinion, at Ushweekend, I still think there is opportunity for a team like mine to crack the top 10 and even sneak a win on every once a year or a couple times a year. You never know, because Ushweekend can get pretty slick too.
No, I think you're right on the mark there, Travis. You mentioned Humberstone. You excited to have Terry and putting a real effort into to spruce the place up, push off track. I mean, it's going to be exciting when we get back to Humberstone, I think.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree more. Used to work for Terry at ERD, and he's definitely a guy that knows his stuff, and he knows where to save racers money where you have to. And I love that he got there. And to me, Humberstone's a racy little place. I love that joint. I always say, if you can keep the cushion off too, sometimes it they wear it out. If you can keep it there and you can keep a good cushion, the sprint cars will put on an awesome show there. If you can keep, in my opinion, my favorite track condition is a little bit of bite on the bottom, slick to a cushion, so you can roll the bottom and you can go to the top side. And if you can get that at Humberstone, you're going to be seeing slide jobs and all kinds of good racing for the win. And I think I've honestly missed racing there, and I'm so pumped to have 5 races there this year.
Travis, I keep myself out of the rumor mill in a lot of cases. What was the consensus in your circle of what sprint car racing was going to look like this year? Was that announcement today a surprise out of the blue? Did you hear rumblings? What have you guys been planning?
My circle's pretty small, Clinta, but what I've thought, last year we got told right now our season was screwed, right? right in March. So Clint and all you boys didn't have much time to put stuff together. So even all of last year, I was thinking like they're going to have a winter to really think about it and start to put stuff together. And like, I know like the 27 races might not happen, but like Clint says, if we can get 16 or 18 in there, that's going to be perfect. So like, to me, this is the kind of the way I thought it was going to go. And yeah, that's pretty much it on that one.
Travis, what does it mean, G-Force? Are you able to utilize that into something that benefits you, or is that just helpful that the buddies get to watch?
For me, I've never won. Like, I need to work on my sponsor game. It's a little low, but like honestly, for me to try to go out and get sponsors, like obviously just to show them the videos right here, even that 30-second promo video, like got me completely jacked up just watching it when you guys played it earlier in the show. Put that together with the warm weather outside, and like, yeah, definitely. Who wouldn't want to watch? Like, go home. You go home from the races, and you can watch your race right then. No need to buy the video or anything. You just go home and you can do your studying. If you want to watch it 1,000 times during the week, you can. And to me, it doesn't get any better than that when it comes to video and being able to watch yourself and all the exposure it gets. And heck, I just love like what you guys have been doing with the live streaming since Us Weekend started. 15 out of 10 on that stuff from you guys. Love it.
You know, at some point,
Trav.
Clinton, I think we should build a timeline on what, like, the things that Glenn Stiers has enabled. Right, he's pretty freaking good at a lot of things that he does, a lot of things he sets his mind to, and like he got the ball rolling for you to get started, for me to get started. And we're going back more than 20 years ago, and he's done some pretty amazing things since then. You know, and you bring in characters like Greg Callens and Doug Leonards and Glenn Hills in the back, and the construction people. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. It's you know, I think people are gonna think of this era pretty fondly, and this is a time, and I know Travis can appreciate this because from the asphalt side of things, Travis, did your dad race the Kawartha Moseport circuit?
Oh, heck yeah. That was our bread and butter. Like, never went to Kawartha and Mossport too much and didn't see one of my dad's engine win. So yeah, that definitely know a lot about that.
And that was a great heyday, and they're both shuttered. Like both those. Now it looks like Kawartha is going to see some action, but I think we really have to appreciate how cool it is that racing is thriving in this part of Ontario.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all the people that Jordan say might show up. Like, even last year we had 27, I think it was our best 360 car count. But like this year, if we can get all those races and all the ones, the big thing is like we have races scheduled together. So like for me, if I can go to a Brockville Cornwall, it's way easier when they're not on a single weekend, and you can go and try to make the $1,500 between the two nights if you can get in the top 10 or top 5. And it's a lot easier to do those type of races. So it'll be easier for the people from Quebec to come down here, because since the series is predominantly in Southern Ontario, it's going to be a lot easier for them to come down here. And I think you can easily see 30 car field this year, and it's going to be a whale of fun if you ask me.
Well, Travis, we really appreciate you coming on the show. We tried to have him on earlier. We appreciate you sticking in and working through the technical difficulties. We'll follow your story throughout the year too, and appreciate your support, man.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me on. I had a lot of fun talking about the sport I love.
It's going to be good, buddy. We'll be following your story. Thanks, Travis. Adam, we're wrapping things down. We have iRacing coming up here. So a couple things just to knock off the deal. The SRX cars, we can talk about that next week. I'm actually going to reach out to Ken Schrader, which sounds like I'm shooting for the stars, but he's one guy who actually, I have his phone number in my phone. We'll have to call him up and see if we can get permission to get him on the show next week. He actually was testing these new SRX cars for Evernham and Stewart at some of the tracks. So we'll talk about that next week. Race gas versus pump gas for crates is a great topic that we saw some data on. We'll work on getting a guest for that, Adam, because we don't want to jump into that too much.
Clint, I would like to get some opinions on that. So folks, if you're watching right now, I want you to put some thought throughout this week, because a lot of you run crate engines. I want you to put some thoughts into it. Give your opinions next week, because I guarantee you, Clint, we're going to get so many different opinions on the best way to run a crate engine. And I don't know if we'll be able to come to any conclusion on what is best, but it'll be fun to toss around some different ideas.
Well, we'll try and get a guest on opposing sides of that. So if you're following us on the rundown, we talked about Pinty's jumping in. We talked about the Bristol well, we didn't talk about Bristol qualifying format, but we'll get to that next week. We still have a week in the middle there, and you're going to hear a lot about Bristol's on dirt in the next bit with our association with Pinty's and everything going on. Couple things. Go out and Google LW Wright's NASCAR story, Adam. We didn't get to discuss that, and that can be everybody's reading homework for this week. And I wanted to know, do you know the story about Ken Carter, Adam? The Daredevil Ken Carter.
No, I don't.
Roll what we got, Spencer.
86-foot jump at Cayuga Speedway in 1982.
And the car did leave the ramp with a funny attitude, but it made
So this is at Cayuga Speedway in 1982. Ken Carter did the world record jump. It was supposed to be replicating the Caesars Palace jump. So everybody's viewing homework from Clinton Geoffrey this week, because this is a deep, dirty 80s rabbit hole you're going to go down. Evel Knievel, Canadian-ish. It is a wild story. Show some of the other pictures, Spencer. So Ken Carter was a daredevil trying to be an Evel Knievel. He did the world record jump for car jump at Cayuga Speedway. Then he built this ramp jump in Morristown in eastern Ontario to try and jump the St. Lawrence River with a rocket car, which is a whole wild story in itself. Devil at his heels is the story. There's the ramp as they're looking up, and that's with Dar Robinson. That's the Cadillac he tried to jump it with. And it's a wild, wild story. So just Google Ken Carter. Where it gets back to us, Adam, is if you keep going about the story, Spencer, it was a Czech story. Canada's greatest stuntman or something it was. Just Google YouTube Ken Carter, Adam, and he actually lost his life. It's not funny though. He lost his life in a car jump at Peterborough Speedway, and in the pond behind Peterborough Speedway, he tried to jump in it in a rocket car, fueled up too much, went way too high. One of the guys on the scene and is in the video is Brian Cathcart. JP takes him back to the site. It took me down this rabbit hole. I'm thinking, I know Cayuga Speedway. I know JP. I know Peterborough. I know Brian Cathcart. Blew me away. It's about 2 hours of your day, but if you get a chance, Ken Carter, it is worth your time, and we will review next week.
Why didn't you bring this to me when I was unemployed for the month of February?
You know what? I was meaning to tell you. It is so good. It's intriguing.
You were too busy watching The Bachelor. The Bachelor!
Yeah, what a crappy ending that was. But, no. I got to tell you, it's the Ken Carter story. Just remember that name, Ken Carter YouTube. You will all thank me. And if you guys are watching this on the Action Sprint Tour message board, I want to know what you guys think before next week, because it is a wild story. Thanks, Spencer, so much. We are getting ready to jump into iRacing. Adam, where are you guys at tonight? Yes, the Mad Canadian Ken Carter.
We're at Langley. And I don't know a lot about Langley, but last week, if you followed the whole series, last week was the first time all season we've had as many caution laps as we've had green flag laps. We've had races with a bunch of cautions. Last week, it was like it was a full moon. I expect this week to be a little bit calmer, but it should be a hell of a show.
All right, we'll get off the air. One last thing. Kyle Rothwell asks, what is the status of Duel on the Dirt main stock races and all that? We're going to talk about the sport divisions next week, where we think they fit into the framework for the 2021 season. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to Pinty's, our new sponsor for both the Sprint Car Tours, and excited to see everybody get pumped up to be winning that trip. We'll let it go. Thanks, Spencer, for everything you do. Thank you to our amazing supporters. Thank you to my co-host, Adam Ross. I'm Clinton Geoffrey, getting ready to head off to the Winter Meltdown Series presented by Grisdale Racing, London Recreational, and Caldecott Millwrights coming up right now here on G-Force TV.
For the honor, for the glory, horsepower and steel unite. These are the Knights of Thunder. This season, the Knights of Thunder 360 Sprint Car Series will conquer dirt tracks across the land. On every battlefield, there is a winner. To the bravest and the fastest go all the spoils. See the heroics, feel the power, hear the thunder. The Knights of Thunder 360 Sprint Car Series. Let the battle begin.